What's going on, people? It's your boy BSG.
And Tammy.
And this is a new show that we got right now. We don't have no subscribers. If you're watching this, this is brand new. So we both have other channels. We'll have those links in the description. But, you know, the stuff that we're going to be talking about on this channel is, you know, not, I won't say appropriate, but it doesn't fit the other stuff, you know, that we do. You have to look at me. You know, we have to do that.
I did that. You didn't see me.
You know, all the couples.
I've been doing it. Watch.
Okay, is it gonna be time?
I think it should just be random.
But
it's more natural.
How you know? But how you know when I'm gonna do it?
I'm gonna tilt back.
I'm gonna tap you, cause it's like they all.
No, I'm not doing it that much.
Right.
No, I'm gonna space.
And you know, a black man can't have a channel right now on YouTube. I don't know if you know that. A black man has to be with somebody, preferably a woman. So, you know, that's what this is about. Whatever. But anyway, we're going to talk about Kirk Franklin. If you don't know, Kirk Franklin is in the headlines because he has boycotted TBN. What does TBN stand for? I should know. Like a Christian broadcasting network.
Trinity Broadcasting?
Yeah, it might be Trinity Broadcasting Network. They have a number of networks. And you know, he's boycotting them. And I have a unique experience. I do, you know, I've never, like, you know, hung out with Kirk or whatever, but a lot of people that I know Kirk, and a lot of people that know Kirk know me, vice versa. I'll get into that. So, but we're gonna play you the video clip, and then, you know, we're gonna come back and talk about it.
I feel like quitting. I am heartbroken that I even have to share this with you. In 2016, I was blessed to win an award for Best Gospel Artist at the Dove Awards. Many of you may not know the Dove Awards in comparison are the Christian Grammys, like the Stellar Awards or the Gospel Grammys. For so long, the terms Christian and gospel for many are code words for white and black, which history may teach us was a setup for this unfortunate place we find ourselves in today. During that award speech, I felt the responsibility as a Christian and a man of color to address the civil unrest at that time that was plaguing our country, with the killings of Philando Castile and Walter Scott, just to name a few, by white police officers. And at the same time, the horrific killings of 5 Dallas police officers by an African American. I called upon the audience to join me in remembering that as Christians, when we say nothing, we're saying something. After a standing ovation, we prayed and stood in unity for all the families affected by those tragedies. We all felt that moment that there was a shift in the climate of our separate worlds. Unfortunately, when that speech aired on the Christian network TBN, that part of my speech was edited out. I made my disappointment and frustration known to the Dove Awards Committee and to the Trinity Broadcasting Network. I never heard from TBN, and the Dove Award Committee promised to rectify the mistake so that it wouldn't happen again. In 2019, history repeated itself. I was humbled to win the same award, and during my speech, I brought attention to the murder of a Tatiana Jefferson in her home by a white police officer. I asked everyone in the audience and those viewing to join me in prayer for not only Tatiana's family, including her 8-year-old nephew who witnessed the killing, but also for the family of the police officer. Last week, during the airing of the awards on the same network again, that part of my speech was edited out. So now, after a meeting with the Dove Awards Committee and representatives of TBN, I've made the decision after prayer, consultation with my team, and my pastor, Dr. Tony Evans, to not attend any events affiliated with or for the Dove Awards Gospel Music Association, or TBN, until tangible plans are put in place to protect and champion diversity, especially where people of color have contributed their gifts, talents, and finances to help build the viability of these institutions. I am aware that the word boycott often has a negative connotation and finality to it. But my goal will forever be reconciliation as well as accountability. It is important for those in charge to be informed. Not only did they edit my speech, they edited the African American experience. I'm not asking those in the gospel community to follow my decision. No, this is my personal choice to take a stand and hold responsible those in positions of power to acknowledge the issues in our separate communities that have existed from colonialism to Jim Crow. To many of the issues facing us today, I pray there will be a significant change from this hurtful experience. I look with anticipation for that day of healing, and I'm committed to contributing to that process. In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
All right, so that was
Wow.
that was the video.
That's a shame.
What's your thoughts on that before I really go deep into this?
Why are people afraid to let other people express themselves? I don't understand it. Why are you editing? You said the first time in 2016, oh, we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen again. 3 years later, same thing. I mean, that's such a slap in the face. It's like we don't care. We really don't care about your feelings or what you're about. Yeah, you on camera getting this award. Yeah, that looks good for us, for our network, for what we doing. But anything beyond that, we don't want to hear what you got to say. Edit.
Well, it's always been that way. So the reason why you would edit this, right, it's a couple sides to this. But the reason why you would edit this is not so much that, the Dove Awards don't care per se. Not that I say that they do, but it's more that they care about what their advertisers are going to think. And generally speaking, one side or the other, advertisers don't want to get political. The only time advertisers get political is when it's actual politic season. But I can't remember, like, take for example,
But the advertisers are not on stage.
yeah, but I'm just, but you got to understand the people that run these companies, the board and all that. Like, think about Coke or McDonald's. Like, those are two incredible brands, like well-known brands. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen McDonald's come out and endorse a political candidate? Ever? You ain't never got a Happy Meal and Ronald Reagan face was on the side of it, or Barack was on some fries, the Barack fry. You never, right? You never go. So that's their thinking, because money is paramount, period. That's, the money can't stop. All right. So now the other side to this, and this is where I have to get deep into stuff and whatever. I'm going to try not to drop some names. I might drop a few names, but my issue is this. All right, number one, to me, there's no difference between gospel and Christian. But there is a gospel music industry, and then there is a Christian music industry.
All right.
And primarily, 99.9% of the Christian music industry is white, and now we have some new Latinos coming in. Okay? And then I would say 90, maybe 85%, because I'm going to tell you the difference of the gospel music industry is black. All right. So, but it's all about money. All right? And the reason why I know this, as you know, I used to work at a radio station. Okay, and we were in the same building, but there was a gospel side, the black side, and then there was a Christian side, the white side. Okay, now, number one, for doing the same work or some really less work. All of the people on the Christian side get paid significantly more. And when I say significantly more, the job that I was doing, the job where I was getting paid, I don't even remember what I was getting paid because I wasn't there a whole year. But I think my pay might have been like 35, 36. It's based on the number of the advertising content. I was a producer, and so basically I was responsible for the ads.
Okay.
So I had to go and meet with the clients and discuss with them what they wanted to do, and put their ads together. I created their campaigns, and we rolled their campaigns out, and then we would track them and so on and so forth. So for all of that, I was getting paid 36, and then the black guy that was over me, I had like 16 accounts, 15 accounts. He had like 20 something accounts, a little bit more.
So he did what you did.
Right, did the same thing, but he was my supervisor. Okay. And to be fair, I don't know what he was getting, but based on conversations with him, based on him still hustling on the side and all that, he couldn't have been getting no more than like maybe 60, 65. This is a black guy.
Okay.
On the white side, for the same job, dudes was getting, no exaggeration, 300, 400,000 a year.
What?
3, 4. So
For the same.
for the doing
same
the sometimes less clients. Like I think the dude that was over me, James, he had like 20 something clients, and the dude on that side, Mark, the white guy, he had like 20 something clients, and Mark is getting 300 plus thousand. James, who was still there, was at the time, again, to be fair, I don't know, but I know for a fact James wasn't making 6 figures. Like I know that for a fact, and I was getting 36,000. All right, so that's the first thing, and I'm sure it's like that all over. The next thing is all the music that is played on the gospel side is not reported. Now, what does that mean? There are 2 organizations, BMI and ASCAP. And so the way that a songwriter, which is me, I wrote a number of songs, the way that we get paid, when an artist goes on stage, we don't get paid for that. We only get paid for publishing. So it has to be tied to an ad, or it needs to be played on the radio or video, something like that. On the gospel side, they don't report. So every time your song would play, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, it doesn't get reported to BMI or ASCAP because the radio stations are not willing to pay the fee that you have to pay to BMI and ASCAP in order to report. But on the Christian side, everything gets reported.
Wait a minute. What is it? So why would you allow your music to be played on the radio station if they're not going to pay?
Well, from my standpoint, it makes no sense. But from the artist standpoint, the reason why an artist will do that is because in exchange for them playing their music, the radio station will, in effect, give free advertising when they come to the city for concerts. And so an artist makes their money on concerts. So when you hear, oh, such and such is coming to town, da 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 da, and you keep hearing their song, they play their songs more, that's just to drum up an audience so they can come to the concert. Okay, but still, there's a whole, you might have a concert in that city once a year, twice a year. All those other times, you are not getting paid. So on the Christian side, every time you're getting paid. So from the standpoint of, I had a song, it was a top song regionally. In fact, in this particular area, there's only 2 songwriters that ever have a song in the top 30 for 5 straight years. One was Kirk Franklin, The Reason Why We Sing, and the other one was the song that I wrote, I'm not gonna, drop the name or whatever, but it was a song that I wrote. The artist is dead now. But we were the only two at that time. I don't know if it's still like that. Because the DJ told me, she's like, you and Kirk Franklin, only two people to have a song in the top 30 for 5 straight years. And I got a total of $440 something in royalties from those 5
years.
5 years. Whereas if that had to happen on the Christian side, literally that's 6 figures for sure. Like every check that I would have been getting would have been 20, 30, 40,000 each just off, how many times they was playing. Because they was literally playing it every hour on the hour.
So why are the gospel stations in general not willing to pay? Is it because they don't have
It's not the
money?
gospel stations. No. It's one company. In fact, this particular radio station, it's a conglomerate that's owned by one guy. I'm not going to drop his name because they might sue me because they do stuff like that. They own a bunch of stations, or at least they used to. So within this one station is a gospel side, it's a Christian side, and it's talk radio.
So they've got the money.
So they
I'm thinking it's like,
no,
okay, the poor
no,
gospel
they
station
got the
doesn't have
money.
enough advertising
No,
revenue
all right.
to
So
pay.
now let me talk about something else. So let's say you're a gospel artist that sees this and you're like, I don't want to keep doing this gospel music. Let me start doing some Christian music,
Right.
and so I can do what's called crossover.
Crossover.
Well, 99.9% of gospel artists cannot cross over to the Christian music side. And when I say crossover, I mean the Christian stations will not play them.
Why?
I do. Do you really need to ask
I
that
have to
question?
say
No.
why.
Okay. So, only a few artists and songs have crossed over. Like I think I Need You Now. That crossed over to the Christian side and the R&B side. That was a big hit. But 99.9% of gospel artists, we cannot cross over. However, when you have a white artist who just decides to put a little bit of pepper in their salt, a little bit of seasoning in their music, the gospel people will open their arms and allow them to come over to the gospel side. And the one that I can think of off the top of my head, sorry, I got to drop your name, is Martha Manuzzi. Okay? Martha Manuzzi is white, but like half her band is black. She got black singers or whatever. They play her on the Christian side where she gets paid, and then they play her on the gospel side. So when she has a concert, you have people coming from all sides, which means she can charge more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like that all over the country. So this whole black-white thing, gospel-Christian thing, is deeper than just Kirk Franklin, who's one of the few people with some of his songs have crossed over. But once you do crossed over, you're supposed to just stay in your lane. You're just supposed to stay in your place and don't have nothing to say to upset what we're doing for you, because you ain't supposed to be here no way.
So doing you a favor.
Just sing and do your thing and don't talk about this other stuff. So it's like, I just wanted to bring that to people. It ain't just about Kirk Franklin. All right. So back to my stuff. When I thought about suing for my royalties, and because I wasn't getting paid from the record company either. You know what I'm saying? So they were out there selling records, because that $444, that came from the record company. That did not come from the radio station. I got zero from the radio station. That $444 was for all the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of albums that sold. And obviously I knew that wasn't right. But when it came time to me thinking about suing them, I have to look at, okay, how much am I really gonna get? Right? So even if I could have got like 10 grand, 15 grand, once you factor the attorney fees and all of that. It really doesn't make any sense. And the gospel stations do that on purpose. Meaning they know that you're not going to come after them, so they either don't pay you, right, or they pay you a little bit, you know what I'm saying, because they know you're not going to come after them. And Kirk, I know for a fact, has had to go through that very same thing. He did not get paid that much on Reason Why We Sing. You just knew his name, and then the subsequent albums after that, he got bigger and bigger and bigger. But his biggest songs, GOP and all, he didn't get paid initially on those. So I'm talking about what I know, because I witnessed an argument with the top, what they call it, MP3, but it's CD, the top CD store in Detroit. I witnessed an argument between Kirk and this guy because he was selling Kirk stuff and wasn't reporting it to Kirk. So, he would sell 1,000 CDs and tell Kirk that he only sold 100 or 200. And Kirk found out. Right? So I ain't gonna bust out Kirk because, Kirk wasn't being led by Jesus in the moment. so it's grimy, man. This whole it's deeper than this. So I applaud Kirk for doing what he did.
But what is it gonna take to see some real change?
You're not asking me that.
Yeah, I got
to.
I
don't have the answer. What it's gonna take, honestly, is people just seeing the light and seeing that these folk are not for us. Right? There are people of all different races that believe in humankind, mankind, civil rights. Even back in the civil rights days, there were white people that were marching along with Martin Luther King. There were priests that were marching. And what did they do to them? They killed one of them. White people have gotten killed for supporting black folk back in the civil rights. And it's still happening, to a lesser degree today. But I'm just saying this doesn't apply to everybody. But when it comes to America, America will never be for us. Ever. It's going to be 2100, right? 2119. It's not going to change. So black people either have to just decide, and many of them have, to just forget their heritage and just try to forget that stuff, try to assimilate, right? Marry, create mixed race children so they look less black. And, excuse me for saying it, a lot of black women try to go out of their way. Is that your hair, by the way?
Yes.
That grows out of your head? Yes. Okay. All right. So, that's a little inside joke. But a lot of black women try to, appeal to European beauty standards and so on and so forth, just so they can assimilate in the workplace and not be threatened and so on and so forth. But, if you're not willing to do that, then you need to do what we're thinking about doing. I mean, we're not thinking about it, we're doing it. Is you're going to have to leave the country. It's just that simple, because only in America does this systemic racism exist. Racism is everywhere, okay? Right. It's everywhere. But the systemic racism where, we're going to price you out of industries, or we're not going to do business with you because you're black, or, with all of that stuff, we're not going to give you contracts, We're just gonna try to, black success actually offends white folk. And I learned that years ago, but I didn't learn the lesson. But I really learned it this year. It's actually there's another story, right? You said?
Oh, it was I believe it was a white police chief is suing the police department for racial discrimination because a black officer was promoted over him. It's let the man be promoted.
With all the white police chiefs that we have all over, with a few black people get in. But studies have been shown. The reason why you don't have a lot of black CEOs on Wall Street and everything is because studies have actually been done where they look at the productivity of white men. And the productivity of white men actually goes down when there is a minority supervisor above them. So if there's a black woman that's above them, if there's a black man, Latino, if they're above them, specifically white men, doesn't really affect white women, but for white men, their productivity goes down.
They can't handle it.
So,
Why?
you know,
I don't understand. It's just a person, you know. They just want to be in control on all levels, all the time.